Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And I actually recorded this video yesterday. Realized there were audio issues, so here I am up at 3:37 in the morning, deciding to re-record it, and that is my picks of the week via the spread for NFL Week 2. The spreads that I'll provide are from Wednesday, September 11th, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, so they might have changed a little bit, but I'm keeping the video the same it was when I recorded it. I didn't make any changes, but week 1 was, boy, was it a rough one. Probably the worst week I've ever had. As you see, I went 2-13-1. Ouch. I mean, just so many games like my tie. I had Seattle over Denver. So Seattle was favored by six, won by six. They gave up two safeties. Who does that? I had the Bills minus 6.5. They won by six. I lost the Ravens by a toe. They were going to go for two. So regardless of if they made the two or not, if Isaiah Likely had stayed in bounds, I would have won that game. The Rams went into overtime, so they won the spread in regulation, but the Lions got a touchdown, so I lost that one. The Titans blew a game where they didn't give up an offensive touchdown, and I'm sure I'm forgetting others, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's just how it goes sometimes, and I'm sure there'll be future weeks where I win a bunch of games kind of in a flukish manner, but we're going to get back to that 500 mark. And it's going to start this week. I'm not saying I'm going to be at 500 after this week, but we're going to approach it. And, if I do have another bad week, to come back to the channel to see what teams to pick against me because I'm doing so bad. Anyhow, week 2 picks, starting with now tonight's game. The Bills underdog by 2.5 at the Dolphins. Usually, when I have a tough time deciding who would win outright, I go with the underdog, and that's mostly the case here. Both AFC East teams are 1-0. The Bills swept the season series last year. Should be a tight, entertaining game. The Dolphins will be without Raheem Mostert. The Ravens, definitely expecting them to rebound after a heartbreaking loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, Isaiah Likely's toe stepping out of bounds. The Raiders just looked and not very good. And Antonio Pierce, I was high on him as a head coach, but that 4th and 1, deciding to punt just made zero sense to me. Both teams 1-0 here. I'm going with the Saints. Yes, I mean, they played the Panthers, probably the worst team in the NFL. The Giants have something to say about that. But they looked really good on the offensive end. Derek Carr, I mean, 47 points, and Chris Olave finished with what, two catches for 11 yards. So the Cowboys looked great as well against the Browns. Probably expecting the Cowboys to win, but it to be somewhat close. 49ers minus 6 at the Vikings. We don't know if Christian McCaffrey's playing, but as we saw in week 1, Jordan Mason went off against a good Jets defense. I know the Vikings are 1-0, but take that with a grain of salt because they played the New York Giants. 49ers win by at least a touchdown, as do the Chargers, probably more than a touchdown in my eyes. Again, worst team. The Panthers, and I believe they're the worst team in the NFL. I just think the Chargers jump on them early, and then they ride Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins just to coast to a victory. Meanwhile, Bryce Young should be facing a lot of pressure from guys like Nick Bosa and Khalil Mack. Packers at home, underdogs to the Colts. We know why. Jordan Love, although not officially out, not expected to play. Malik Willis is the starter, yet to throw a touchdown pass in his career. This is his third season. But I think the Packers can do enough on the ground game to keep it Very close, maybe win. I'm going to go with the Packers. This was a tough one, though. I know the Patriots defeated the Bengals, probably the biggest surprise of week one, but sometimes you just see a team uh, overperform their expectations. Their first game with a new head coach. Of course, the Patriots have Gerard Mayo. So I'm not anticipating that run to continue. I think the Seahawks win by at least a touchdown. Jets at the Titans. Jamal Adams will make his season debut for the Titans against his former team, but he's kind of been a shell of himself his last few seasons with the Seahawks. I think the Jets rebound, get back to 500 with a win over the Titans. Let's look at the other half of this week two schedule. We got um, Buccaneers. I just think this spread is too large. Would I pick the Lions to win? Yes, but 7.5 is a large spread, and the Buccaneers look good in week one. Commanders -1.5 versus the Giants. It's almost like a trap line with how bad the Giants looked. And I know it's the Commanders, not very good. And when you look at it, the Giants swept the Commanders last season. Daniel Jones has put up his best career numbers against the Commanders. But the Giants are just so bad right now that I can't trust taking them really against anyone. Jaguars -3 versus Browns. Things just keep getting worse for the Browns. Were not competitive against the Cowboys. David Njoku will be out. Deshaun Watson, another lawsuit. Um, but both teams really need a win. Starting 0-2 puts them in a big hole. I think the Jaguars prevail. Rams just put two offensive linemen on the IR as well as Puka Nakua. So they might be a bit undermanned. I think there's still enough there to beat the Cardinals, though. Um, Still have the Stafford to Cooper Cup connection. 21 targets to Cup in week one. Chiefs -5 home against the Bengals. Bengals, I don't think they're as bad as their week one loss to the Patriots, but Chiefs just on another level. Offense looks even better with Xavier Worthy in there. I'm done picking against the Steelers. I mean, you I pick against them all the time. Like you saw, I went 36 games over 500 last year, and I'm almost certain I went under 500 picking Steelers games. I'm gonna take them, and it's a little bit easier to take when they're playing the Broncos. I'm not sure if Fields or Wilson's playing, but doesn't really matter to me. Um, I think Caleb Williams performs a little bit better than he did in week one, where he really struggled. No offensive touchdowns. Bears were still able to win. I think the Texans win, but the Bears keep it close. And kind of the same for the Monday night game, where I think the Eagles win, but the Falcons keep it close. Kirk Cousins, I think, performs a little bit better. Although it was a little bit worrisome that he seems so statuesque in the pocket, not moving around at all as he recovers from his injury. But those are my week two picks. Again, really hoping that I show a lot of improvement from week one. Just, seeing those final scores and being like, I lost this game by half a point. I lost this game by half a point. Man, this team blew it. So very disappointing. Hopefully the bad week got out of the way. I crawl back to 500 slowly and surely before I go over 500. And again, if I continue to pick bad, to come here and go against my picks. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.